Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's video we are going to discuss about the topic of periodicity in properties. So whenever you have to consider about the physical and chemical property, as we have discussed in the earlier classes about SPDF blocks. So each of the blocks have certain number of electrons in the particular groups, as we have classified 18 groups of the periodic table and 7 periods. So each of the periods, when you go across the period from left to right, or you move from top to bottom of a particular group, there will be certain trend of change in the respective physical and chemical property. Even though all of them react with the same order, there might be certain changes in those reactivity itself. So that particular change is nothing else called as trend of a periodic table. Okay, so what does this trend actually mean? If you are considering a physical property of, such as say, boiling point, so that boiling point might be less for the first element and more higher for the other elements down as you go from top to bottom, or it might be higher for the first element and it decreases as we go from left to right of the period. Okay, so that particular trend of across the period or down the group is called the periodicity of a property. The periodicity of a particular property, it might be increasing from left to right or it might be decreasing from left to right. It depends upon the electrons and the electronic configuration of an element. Okay, so out of those several physical properties such as density, density and viscosity and metallic nature, non-metallic nature, boiling point, melting point and etc. all those, we are going to study about the 4 physical properties which explains the complete main important periodic properties of an element in this chapter. Those are atomic radii, ionic radii, then we come across ionization enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy and electronegativity. Okay, we are going to discuss these 4 important topics as of their periodic changes and their trends across the period and down the group. Okay, so now let us start with first property, that is atomic radii. So what is atomic radii? So atomic radii is nothing but the radius of an element in its atomic size. So radius of an atom of an element is called the atomic radius. This atomic radius determination is very hard when compared to we have to find out the radius of a given ball. Whenever you consider tennis ball, it's easy for us to determine its radius, but it is very tough to determine the radius of an atom. That is because atom itself is of the size of nanometer or angstroms, that is 10 power minus 9 meters or 10 power minus 10 meters. So now what we have to do is we need to find out its radius, which is almost half of it. Okay, so therefore if we have to consider atomic radius of an atom, we consider 2 important types in it. One is which is formed by covalent bond and one which are formed by metallic bond. So what is this covalent bond and metallic bond? Instead of determining an atom radius, let us say this is an atom. So instead of determining just radius of an atom, what we do is we take the molecule of the given element. If you take a diatomic molecule of an element, what happens here is we can determine its intermolecular force of attraction. Okay, we know its intermolecular force of attraction, which is the same, and therefore the internuclear distance between the 2 atoms of the same element is nothing but its radius. The internuclear distance between the 2 atoms of the same element is nothing but the diameter of that particular atom. So once you divide by 2, we get the particular atomic radii. So in this case, therefore, we use 2 types, that is a covalent radii. So atomic radii can be classified to 2 types, covalent radii, and the other one is metallic radii. So why is this metallic radii and covalent radii important? That is because most of the elements in the periodic table are metals. And those metals will be forming a molecule with the metal itself through metallic bonds. Okay, and whereas the non-metals are bonding through covalent bonds. So now first let us consider an atom such as a chlorine. Okay, so let us say this is chlorine molecule. which has 2 atoms of chlorine, and this chlorine is separated by a distance of 198 picometer. It is separated by a distance of 198 picometer, that is 198 into 10 power minus 12 meters. So it is very small. So what we have to do is, instead of finding out the atomic radius of that element of atom of chlorine, what we do is we find out the bond distance. Okay, we find out the bond length of chlorine. Once you find out the bond length of chlorine molecule, this is the bond between chlorine and molecule, chlorine atoms of a molecule, and that bond length is nothing but the distance between the two internucleus. Okay, the distance between the two nucleus of chlorine is nothing but their particular bond. Since non-metals form covalent bond, this bond is called a covalent radii. So what is a covalent radii? A covalent radii is the half of the internuclear distance of a non-metal forming a molecule. Okay, internuclear distance of a molecule of non-metal. So covalent radii is defined as, covalent radii CR is equal to half of internuclear distance, half of the internuclear distance between two non-metals, between two non-metal atoms. So the internuclear distance between the two non-metal atoms is taken and it is divided by 2 in order to obtain its respective covalent radii. So therefore the radii of chlorine is 99 picometer. The radii of chlorine is 99 picometer. Okay, so this is how we calculate the covalent radii. So this is half of the internuclear distance between the two non-metal atom, or nothing but the half of the bond length, covalent bond length. Okay, next for metallic radii is for the half of internuclear distance between two metal atoms of a molecule, two metal atoms of a element. So metallic radii is defined as half of the internuclear distance, of two metal atoms of a molecule. That is called as the metallic radii. For example, copper has interatomic distance of 256 picometer. So once you divide it by 2, we get 128 picometer, which is nothing but the radius of copper atom. So radius of copper atom is 128 picometer, and radius of a copper molecule is 256 picometer. Okay, so this is about the covalent radii and metallic radii. Instead of naming them as covalent radii, metallic radii, in general for every element we call them as atomic radii. So in order to find out the respective radii, we use this covalent bond nature and the metallic bond nature. In general, in overall, we call them as atomic radii. So atomic radii can be calculated in terms of 2, those are covalent radii, and in terms of metallic radii. If the metals or if the elements are non-metal, we use the covalent radii. If the elements are metals, then we use metallic radii. Okay, so now how does this atomic radii varies across the period and down the group? So the metallic radii has two particular trend with respect across the period and down the group. So how does it vary? First we'll consider across the period. Let us say for the period 2. That is azimuthal principal quantum number 2. We have elements lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and fluorine. Okay, we won't consider noble gases for the changes in the trends. We'll just consider non-noble gas elements. For the period 2, we have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Okay, so these all have shell value n is equal to 2, right? So the electrons entering to the elements will be entering to the L orbital, L shell. They will be entering to the L shell. So what happens here is, if you consider this as the K shell and this is the nucleus, if this is the K shell and that is the this is the nucleus and this is the K shell, the electrons of n is equal to 2 will be entering the L shell. So this is L shell. So what happens here is, as the number of electron increases entering the L shell. So for lithium it will be having 1 electron, For beryllium it will be having 2 electron, and next for boron will be having 3 electron, carbon will be having 4 electron in the L shell, similarly 5 for nitrogen, 6 for oxygen and 7 for fluorine. So when the electrons enter to the L shell of n is equal to 2 period, what happens here is, in the same fashion the nuclear charge, that is the number of protons present in the nucleus, also increases. The number of protons and neutrons present in the nucleus increases, which results in increase in nuclear charge. As the atomic number increases from left to right across the period, the effective nuclear charge at the nucleus increases. If the effective nuclear charge at the center increases, what does it do is, it attracts those electrons towards themselves. The nucleus, which is a positive charged shell, attracts the negative charged L shell because it contains electrons. So the size of this will be shrinking because of the increase in electrons. The increase in electrons is nothing but increase in atomic number. So therefore, across the period, when atomic number increases, size atomic radii decreases. That is, atomic radii decreases across the period. Atomic radii decreases across the period. So if you observe here carefully, with the increase in electrons in the L shell, effective nuclear charge at the nucleus increases, which results in the attraction of electrons towards the nucleus. So therefore, the size of this orbit, which was initially like this, will be at this position once 7 electrons are placed in between them. Okay, so initial electron orbital was this, and now it is closer to themselves towards the nucleus. So therefore, the size decreases when we go from left to right of the period. That is what the trend is. So atomic radii decreases across the period from left to right. Okay, so now for the down the group trend. When you consider down the group trend, let us consider for the first group elements. Let us consider for the first group elements. Those are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium. Okay, so what happens here is, for the lithium we have two shells, K and L. Okay, for sodium we have three shells, K, L and M. For K shell we have three shells, K shell, L, M and N. So if you observe carefully, what happens here is, if we increase the atomic number down the group, the new electron entering will be entering to a new shell. Okay, the new electron will be entering to a new shell, which results in increase in the atomic radii. If you consider this clearly, so if this is of just two shells, there is one more shell present in case of sodium and one more in compared to potassium, and similarly for rubidium and cesium. The number of shell increases as we go down the group, which results in attraction towards the electrons towards the nucleus decreasing. Okay, since the shells increases, the electrons which are coming in the later part will be placed away from the nucleus. Okay, electrons will be placed far and far away from the nucleus. So therefore, there will be no attraction of nucleus towards the outermost electron, which results in increase in their radii. Therefore, the trend down the group is atomic radii increases down the group. Atomic radii increases down the group. Atomic radii increases down the group. And in case of across the period, atomic radii decreases. In case of down the group, atomic radii, in case of left to right across the period, atomic radii decreases. In case of down the group, atomic radii decreases. So this is about the trend of atomic radii in the periodic table. Okay. So next we'll come across ionic radii, the second type, that is ionic radii. So what do you mean by ionic radii? Whenever you consider an atom, it might lose electron or it might gain electron. An element or atom of an element may lose a certain number of electrons or it may gain electrons to themselves. So what happens here is, when an atom loses electron, when an atom, let us say for example sodium, which has 11 electrons in it, that means we have 11 electrons and 11 protons, that is 11 negative charge and 11 positive charge. So what happens here is, when it loses one electron, now we have 10 electrons and 11 protons. We are just losing one electron but not the proton. Therefore what happens here is, whenever an atom or element loses an electron, it gains positive charge. So if you observe here, we have 10 electrons and 11 protons, that means we have one extra positive charge. So therefore Na on losing one electron becomes Na plus. Okay, Na on losing one electron, sodium on losing one electron becomes Na plus. So whenever an element loses an electron to form a positive charged nuclei, then that particular ion is called cation. Okay, the process of losing an electron or gaining an electron is called ionization. The process of losing an electron or gaining an electron is called ionization. So whenever an atom undergoes ionization to lose an electron and form a positive charged species, then that positive charged species is called cation. Similarly, whenever an element such as chlorine gains one electron, what happens here is, they form Cl with minus charge, Cl with a negative charge, and these negative charged species are called anions. So cations and anions are the species which are obtained by ionization of atom. If an atom loses an electron, it becomes a cation. If an atom gains an electron, then it forms an anion. Okay, so it may be 1 electron, it may be 2 electron, it may be 3. Okay, the number of electron lost or gained is independent. It may vary from 1 to 4, 1 to 5, etc. So that number of electrons lost or electron gained will leave the equal amount of charge on the element. If it is gaining electrons, it will be having equal number of negative charges. It will be, if it is losing electrons, then it will be gaining equal number of positive charges on the nuclei. So this is about ionic radii, that is cationic radii. This is about the ions, cations and anions. So now what about the ionic radii? So ionic radii is defined as radius, distance between nucleus of an ion, the distance between the nucleus of an ion to its outermost shell containing at least one electron. Okay, atomic radii is nothing but the distance between the nucleus of an atom to its outermost shell having at least one electron. And now for the ionic radii, it is defined as the distance between the nucleus of an ion and its outermost shell which has at least one electron present in them. If it has at least one electron, we need to consider the distance between the nucleus and that orbital. Okay. So now for ions of cation and anion, so how does it change with respect to their atom and ions? So what happens here is, when an atom, let us say sodium, is converted to Na+. When sodium is converted to Na+, atomic radii decreases. Ionic radii decreases. Okay, sodium radii decreases if it forms an ion. That is because the radius of sodium is 126 picometer. The radius of sodium is 126 picometer. When it loses an electron and forms Na+, the radius will be 96 picometer. Okay, the radius of sodium atom is 126 picometer, whereas the radius of sodium atom is 96 picometer. This is because the electron present in the sodium will be in the outermost shell, will be lost. Since we know sodium is the first element of the particular period, the complete shell will be lost, therefore the complete radius distance will be lost. Therefore the radius completely decreases. Similarly, in case of chlorine, the radius of chlorine is 98 picometer. The radius of chlorine is, not 98, 78 picometer. radius of chlorine is 78 picometer, whereas of the chlorine ion is 196 picometer. Okay, the radius of chloride ion is 196 picometer. That is because we are adding an extra electron. In this case, observe carefully, when you add an extra electron to an atom, it doesn't have enough amount of positive charge to attract that electron. Okay, so the chlorine, which has 17 electrons and 17 protons, so 17 protons will be attracting each of the electron present in them. When we add one extra electron, what happens here is the extra electron entered to the chlorine orbital will not be attracted by the nucleus to a greater extent. Therefore, the size will be more. Okay, if this is the 7 electrons plus 7 electron shell of the chlorine, the electron will be revolving around this like in this fashion. Okay, so therefore its radii increases. Its radii increases. So what we observe is, if an element is forming an anion, its respective ionic radii increases. If an element is forming a cation, its respective ionic radii decreases. Okay, so this is about ionic radii and cations. So what happens here is we have one more concept in this, that is isoelectronic point or isoelectronic elements. So what is isoelectronic points or isoelectronic elements is, if any of the atoms or ions and elements have same number of electrons present in them, then those are called isoelectronic species. So isoelectronic species are, like for example, sodium plus 1, Mg2 plus, Cl minus, F minus, O2 minus. All these 4 ionic species are called isoelectronic species because all these 4 have 10 electrons each in them. All these 4 atoms or ions have 10 electrons each in them, and these 4 are called isoelectronic species with 10 electrons present in them. Okay, so this is all about for today, about the atomic radii and ionic radii variation and their respective trends. In the next class, we will discuss about ionization enthalpy and etc. Okay, thank you for watching.